Okay, welcome to Storytime with this lovely big group. Thank you all for coming. So the topics that were given, there's one that I thought hadn't put in it, then at the end I kind of thought I just about got it in. There was something that made sense, and that was things you're surprised you've still got. That one, I didn't quite weave that in, but the other topics which I have managed to include: hidden inhabitants, unexplained accidental or incidental music, such as that caused by the wind, wild birds learning to make unusual or not normally wild sounds, weird first words from children, graffiti fails and retaliation, and when adults can't open child-proof locks.
That's everyone.
Yeah.
So a little introductory poem today is on the idea of hidden inhabitants. It's called Hidden Things. Down below the grainy earth, sleeping under leaves, silent inside hollow logs and under the bark of trees, inside of other living things and in their hair and on their skin, symbiotic lichen families, one without, but many within. Camouflaged with petals, or dressed in dainty leaves, the hidden things are many more than the ones we readily see. And the story today is called Pixies Play the Fence Wires. Cassie's family loved to tell people that she'd learnt her first words not from them, but from crackers. People were usually moderately surprised to learn that crackers was a gallah. The name gave it away a little, but then it would also be a good nickname, perhaps for someone who loved crunchy biscuits, or who used the word crackers a lot, or who was mildly bonkers. Crackers was a very talkative bird, and loved to learn to make the sounds that he heard around him. Some of them things uttered by people, and others the general sound effects of day-to-day life. At the Nilsson house, there were plenty of both to choose from. The house was near the coast, and sometimes if there was a gentle breeze, you could hear the rustle of the sand dune grasses and the crash of the waves in the distance. Crackers had mastered a swooshing, whispering sound for the grass, and a clacking hiss for the waves. He had also developed an approximate imitation of Melvin's battery radio, complete with the switching on, indeterminate babble, static between channels, and generic whistly music. Cracker's best musical impressions, however, were of Wilma's haphazard beginner piano playing and the side fence. The side fence was a precarious construction which Linda, Cassie and Wilma's mother, was always saying she must replace. Linda was definitely handy enough for the job, but she was also one of those people who is always in a hurry. On a weekly basis, she would stand under the back veranda, look at the side fence and say, "Oh shit, I need to replace that fence. Look at it, disgraceful." Then she would resolutely make a note in her phone to make a start tonight. But when tonight arrived, she would cook a fast pasta and talk on the phone to her friend Annie, who did the magazine and signed Wilma's various consent forms and feed Cassie apple puree. She'd put Cassie to bed and Crackers in his cage and cover up Crackers' cage with a blanket so he wouldn't make radio noises in the early hours. Then she would do her 15-minute kickboxing exercise routine with the recording on her phone, clean up the dishes and tie up the rubbish bags. And she would call out to Melvin, the girl's father, to take out the rubbish. Melvin would take out the rubbish, and then it would be too dark to work on the side fence. Melvin could cook the dinner. In fact, Melvin loved cooking and would leave the kitchen fastidiously clean afterwards. The trouble was that Melvin cooked the same way that he did everything else, very slowly and carefully. Linda couldn't stand for this on a weeknight, so Melvin was only allowed to cook on weekends. This routine had two results. First, the side fence carried on being a ramshackle arrangement of unjoined galvanised iron and some wires. If there was a high wind, the metal fence panels would batter together and make a quite musical sound, since they were all slightly different sizes. It wasn't exactly a wind chime, but it wasn't an unpleasant noise, as you might think. The wires that were pulled tight across the top would vibrate like a plucked guitar string, adding a humming song over the percussive tap of the panels. And the wires that ran along touching the galvanised iron itself would buzz against the metal, creating yet another tone to the strange chord. It was like an odd kind of orchestra, one that you only ever heard when the wind was up. Crackers loved to make this sound. His version was a little bit whiny and was no one's favourite but his. But there was no stopping him when he started the fence song. He would sing it at the dining table, while Wilma was trying to do her reading aloud for Linda, and sometimes, for no reason anyone could discern, at 4 a.m. The second effect of Linda's constant busy routine was that Crackers would yell, "Take out the rubbish!" in something very like her voice at other times of the day, much to the confusion of poor Melvin, who would repeatedly appear after a few minutes and gaze about looking for the bin bag. One night, while Wilma, Linda and Melvin were eating a quickly thrown together stir fry, Cassie was watching and playing with her toy giraffe on her high chair, and Crackers was sitting on the back of Wilma's chair, pulling her hair. Linda got up from the table and tied off the bin bag, putting it down by the sink. "Take out the rubbish," ordered Crackers, and Melvin looked up from his broccoli. "After dinner, Crackers," he said, and returned to eating pensively. Then Cassie raised both hands in the air and, thumping them on the high chair's attached table with every syllable, said very clearly, in a tone just like Crackers, "Take out the rubbish!" Melvin spat out his broccoli, and everyone laughed. Then Melvin got up and took out the rubbish, feeling rather bullied. And the story of Cassie's first order was told at every social event from that day forward. Cassie and Crackers were the best of friends, despite Crackers' inclination to wake Cassie with strange noises in the early hours. Crackers would dance for Cassie, making her laugh, put her toys in odd places, or bring them to her at odd moments, and imitate sounds that she made in strange babbled conversations. Both Crackers and Cassie's second word was Crackers. Crackers liked to say his name at random intervals during conversation, so that it sounded as if he was dismissing the other speaker's thoughts as a little bit mad. Cassie liked to call all birds Crackers and demand Crackers' attention by saying his name over and over. Linda had put a childproof lock on Crackers' cage, since he spent the nights in with Cassie. Both Linda and Melvin struggled to open it in the mornings, and joked that they must both be children still. "Or we need our eyes tested," Linda would say sagely, but they'd never go for the test. One morning, however, Melvin came into Cassie's room to discover the blanket off the cage cage door open, the window also open, and Crackers nowhere to be seen. "Cassie," exclaimed Melvin incredulously, "did you let Crackers out of your window?" Cassie shrugged, unconcerned, and continued making her giraffe dance on the cot railing. "Crackers play crackers," she declared. Melvin looked out of the window. He couldn't see any gallahs. Crackers did not come back into the house, and dinner time became rather quieter for a few weeks. Early in the morning, on a Tuesday, when Linda was wiggling her bottom into a pencil skirt and trying to keep her balance, Cassie appeared in the bedroom doorway holding an empty packet of sunflower seeds. "Crackers," she said, in an insistent, concerned voice. "Crackers has gone off on adventures, darling," said Melvin from the bed. "You let him out of the window." "Crackers, crackers," said Cassie, waving the packet insistently. Wilma appeared in the doorway behind her sister. "Mum, Cassie's room is full of birds, squawking and pooping." Linda zipped up the pencil skirt, put on a pair of office flats, and went to see. "Oh shit," she said. Cassie's window was open, and there were gallahs sitting on the windowsill, the top of the open window, the tree outside, and the cot railing. "Crackers," said Cassie, pointing and shaking the empty bird seed. "Yes," said Melvin, who had finally made his way out of bed. "I see what you mean." Cassie was not allowed to continue feeding the gallahs in her bedroom, for obvious reasons, but was not at all pleased about it. To resolve this, Linda built her a bird-feeding platform on a post out by the back decking, which she could reach to spread some birdseed via a special miniature stepladder. Cassie could subsequently be seen every morning from Linda and Melvin's bedroom window, competently letting herself out of the back door, with the help of a step she normally used to reach the hand basin, toddling across to the bird feeder, and climbing up to pour out birdseed. Gallahs would then appear out of seemingly nowhere and surround the feeder, and Cassie would busy herself saying, "Hello, crackers," to everyone in town. Whilst Cassie was occupied with her bird friends, Wilma had set about creating a secret personal spy network with her toys, and occasionally her friend Nina, who lived down the street. The purpose of the hiding places, codes, and detective work was twofold. First, to discover what caused the music from the side fence, and second, to ensure Cassie did not get any of the hiding places or any of Wilma's things. Wilma's things included toys, spots in the garden, hats, particular walls, and assorted other objects, which all needed to be labelled with Wilma's name. Wilma had had several tellings off from Melvin for labelling things such as furniture and plates, but Melvin was not especially good at tellings off and tended to have an amused twitch at the corner of his mouth, which rather spoiled his cross face. One morning, Melvin got out of bed and went to make his toast, to discover that the toaster said Cassie on it. This was an unusual turn of events. He said, in pretended confusion. "Why ever does the toaster say Cassie?" Cassie, who was helpfully handing Linda eggs to boil, looked up. "I didn't done it," she declared. Yes. Melvin put some toast in Cassie's toaster and smiled a bit. "No," he mused, "I didn't think so, unless you learnt how to write your name last night without telling me." He glanced at Wilma, who was putting things purposefully into her school bag and who swiftly disappeared into the bathroom. Wilma and Nina had developed a theory about the singing side fence, which was that the Pixies played it. This was not as far-fetched as it sounded, given that they'd discovered a pixie palace under the back decking. The Pixies had an elaborate network of tunnels in their castle, and Wilma thought it very likely that these tiny creatures could set up the fence just right to make music for their dances. She and Nina liked to watch the Pixies industriously cleaning their palace while eating their secret picnics that Wilma smuggled from hideout to hideout. Whenever there was a high wind and the side fence started to sing, Wilma would say, "The Pixies are playing fence wires," which Linda and Melvin thought was a very sweet interpretation and soon took to saying as well. But it was only a matter of time before Cassie did discover one of Wilma's secret hideouts. And as it happened, it was the one under the decking that she found. Having been repeatedly confronted with Wilma's name on walls, toys, and assorted other objects, Cassie thought she ought to retaliate with some personal graffiti of her own. The minor issue of not yet being able to write did nothing to discourage her. She went back into the house and selected an orange crayon, then returned to the wall beside Wilma's corner of the decking and began to draw a Cracker's portrait. Unfortunately for Cassie, Wilma and Nina were at that moment hiding underneath the far side of the decking and spotted her. "Hey!" Wilma shouted, and the two older girls came rapidly crawling out of their hiding place to try to snatch the crayon away. "No!" yelled Cassie, trying to hold the crayon behind her back. When this did not work, she defaulted to crying loudly, and Linda came out of the house, galahs scattering from the bird feeders. "What's going on here?" She peered around the corner of the decking. "Cassie is drawing on the wall," Wilma announced immediately. Linda looked at the wall. There was an orange unfinished shape and assorted code symbols that could only have been drawn by a more practiced writer. There was also a sign, tucked down near the bottom of the wall and outlined in red texture, which said, "Pixie Palace, affix your staff only," with a little arrow pointing under the decking. "Wilma," sighed Linda, kneeling down to observe the extent of the cave paintings. Then she stuck her head in further. "Have you been leaving food under here?" She pulled out her phone and turned on the torch app. "Oh, shit." Wilma crawled in to see what her mum was looking at. "Pixies," she said. "No, Wilma," sighed Linda. "Those are not pixies. Those are called white ants, and they're eating our decking."
Oh.
Astrid, Linda's mother, who was even more handy than Linda, had to come over with a cement mixer so that the wooden supports under the decking could be replaced with a concrete sleeper arrangement. The girls were delighted with the wet cement. And Wilma's name was written and scribbled out 5 times until eventually the cement dried, leaving them with Will and half the outline of a bird's head. At first, the galahs kept their distance from the activity in the yard, but after a while the flock became more confident and began landing on the feeder to observe the action. "Crackers," said Cassie, pouring out more sunflower seeds. "You'd better get a professional in to check the rest of the decking and under the house," Astrid told Linda. "Crackers," said Crackers. Astrid fixed the bird with a stern look. "I'm most certainly not, thank you." "Take out the rubbish," said the other galahs, splashing around in the bird bath. Suddenly all the other birds took up the chorus. "Take out the rubbish! Take out the rubbish! Rubbish!" "Oh shit," laughed. "Oh shit," parroted. Oh shit, squawked the other bird. "Oh shit," Cassie copied happily. "Oh shit." There were some things you really shouldn't say in front of birds.
That's great.
Well, Lloyd, you said you had something you wanted in the
Yes,
next one
3D
already.
printing.
Oh. Okay. I've got one. 3D printing.
Unusual
I 3D printed a
gemstones.
rabbit without
Unusual
And I've got one based on the conversation we were having in a manual car trying to get up a very, very steep hill and not succeeding and requiring multiple attempts. Inspired by Grand Street.
That reminds me of a related thing. I don't remember whether it was Mum's car or someone else that I know, but someone at one point had a car where it had this indicator light that said your car is on an incline, but it got stuck on. So that every time they would turn the car on, it would get this little light and it would go blip blip blip. Your car is on a hill. But it was never actually on a hill.
That's like mum's reversing sensors. When you
So
reverse that,
misleading.
it goes beep 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 beep.
Yes,
beep,
yeah,
beep,
yeah.
There's nothing there.
Misleading indicators.
Yeah.
Misleading sensors.
And the car in England, which really did have a puncture.
Yeah, it really
But
did.
we didn't believe it.
It's like the
How can you have a
yeah.
sensor for a puncture?
Yeah. The sensor that cried wolf.
Yeah.
No, it
And it
didn't.
wouldn't
It was a
happen
it
nail
actually
at the
didn't,
time.
yeah.
House sensors or any kind of sensor, or like shop
Yeah.
door sensors or like.
Yeah. The ones that open and close like all the time and there's no one there.
That's it, or like certain people who never manage to trigger them.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, I get like that too.
Whenever I approach the doors to our local train station on my own, I have to like go at it a specific way, otherwise it doesn't open. So I'm not
Yeah,
tall
that's right.
enough.
I wonder if you did the murder walk at it, you know, that really...
That would
Because sometimes I can if I reverse and I walk really forcefully.
I think you need to add that as a suggestion.
Yes, I think so too. Murder walking. The purposes of murder walking.
Yeah. That got me through normal
Purposeful
earlier
murder
today.
walking. Love it.
Perhaps you should include miniature things.
Fuse around.
Miniature things. So that would go well with 3D printing.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. And gemstones. Mm-hmm. Very miniature things.
Miniature things. Goes well with Stonehenge and
The spinal tap.
Spinal tap, yeah. Small and far away.
Yeah, smaller far away is good. I think it's good.
Oh, smaller
Far away.
Oh, like,
Well, that reminds me then of a dive mask.
Dive marks.
Underwater.
Things look.
small and far away.
no, they actually look bigger
Well, they will be.
Yeah.
than what they actually are.
Right. Okay.
That's not good if it's a shark.
No, it's far away.
Small, it's a long way.
I don't know if I've made this request before. I don't remember, but the concept of, or the metaphor of the announcement they always make on planes about please fit your own oxygen mask before helping others.
Ah, yes.
Every time I hear it, I think, what a great metaphor for life. I don't know if I've made that request
Help
before.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
Otherwise,
next
you can't
time,
help
Sarah,
other
you
people.
should do see it, say it, sorted.
Who?
What is that?
That's
What
the
they
slogan
say
in the
on
trains
British,
in Britain.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So when you're in the UK, they always say, see it, say it, sorted.
What about safety instructions on aeroplanes? I like those.
They are good. Generally.
Just watching whether people
With
actually
the
pay
new one,
attention.
don't get your phone because otherwise it'll explode.
Don't get your phone if it falls under the seat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
a new
yeah, that's
one.
right.
It's only been on the last
Yeah.
two. If your phone
Sorry?
falls under
What
the
was
seat, please don't try to retrieve it yourself. Tell the hostess.
Because people have gotten their fingers kind of stuck in.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I think the
if
other thing they're worried if they
it says,
move the
please
seat
do not
mechanism,
move
you
the
crack
seat,
the
may
light bulb open
damage
and
the
start a
phone.
fire.
So you
Oh,
can
okay.
crack like your battery open and then it
Fair
might
enough.
cause an
Oh,
explosion.
okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
that does boom.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I don't know if you've already got too many, and this might be unrelated, but when you're talking about the airplane things, it made me think of a thing Mum and I were watching the other night. It was Tony Robinson in Japan, and he went to a school that trains mascots to wear the big suits
Oh my god.
and be mascots.
There's a school for that?
There's a school
Mascots?
Only in Japan.
Mascots.
Only in
And-
Japan.
Yeah. And I
Oh
was-
no, you can't be a mascot.
Exactly. And I was saying to Mum, I wonder whether you could pick someone who plays a mascot professionally by how they move. Like, would they have
when they're not wearing
exaggerated
their
movements when they're not wearing the costume?
Oh,
Like,
it's like-
would they?
Yeah. Kate Ross, everyone picks the 500 paces that she used to be a fairy and all the kids just flock to her.
Right,
She
yeah.
used to be a professional
There you
fairy.
go. Yes, that kind of thing. Because you see them, like, they were doing this thing a lot in the footage at the school, where they were kind of doing this all the time, like turning their heads, and they would have had to go quiet a lot to the side, and it was this sort of general gesture of like, I'm just looking at the people and whatever, because they can't talk.
Yes.
So I wonder if that had become a habit, and you do it,
You do it constantly.
People think you had a nervous twitch.
They
or
would.
something. Like you had really big issues.
Or no muscle control because you just go.
And you get really bad to the point when you don't want to go around without the head on anymore.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
I think we should do a little bit of mascot training now, really.
Yeah.
You get it on camera, I mean, just think of the opportunity.
I think the other one, if you're going to do those, you can do the Thunderbirds type marionette as well.
Oh,
I know that dates it all, but they
Yeah, brains,
Oh, Virgil.
Like a DJ.
You can't get the lips right.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm so angry with
That might be January and February.
Done.
But the trouble is that will date the story because people have to know what that's about.
Yeah, but in general, like preparation for being some kind of character that's inside a suit. Like, what about if you had to like learn how to operate a Dalek? I think that would be like you'd sort of learn a bunch of things and like how to turn the arms and stuff. And you might come out sort of speaking funny because you're used to hearing your voice sounding like
You know, they don't use samplers for that. They don't use the actual. They don't get the actors to do it.
They used to though, didn't they?
Yes.
Have like a voice
No,
filter.
they've always had
Yeah.
ways of treating stuff. Doctor Who was the first show to use sound effects by doing tape loops.
Right.
So they used to make a little loop of tape and make it go round and round and round.
Yeah.
And then do another one and bring
So
it
that
forward.
they all sound the same because Daleks.
Yeah, because they only had monophonic synthesizers to make that. One note. There's more than one note in the tune, isn't there?
Yeah.
How interesting.
Because we didn't have 16 track even. We only had 2, I think. Might have been 2.
Well, it's interesting to sometimes see
Would it be
notices
interesting you
of
putting your music
actors
together?
who have passed away.
Yeah, I've
Whose
like
claim
100
to fame
tracks,
was actually like
and they're all
Chewbacca.
routed to
Yeah.
And you
different
wouldn't know them from a bar of soap.
Big Bird, Yellow,
But
Big
there's
Bird.
like-
That's right, last week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or also when they have those notices about actors that have died who are very much alive, and then the actor has to say, "I'm actually still
I'm
here."
actually
Yeah.
Oh,
Or when they
is
feel
that a
like,
thing?
yeah, and like for the Queen,
That's a
they've
thing.
got code names on radio, you know, like London Bridge has fallen or whatever.
Yeah.
That she's died, and sometimes they've accidentally.
Oh,
said
no.
yeah, like she hasn't died, but they've started
said
to rob
the
for
thing.
her pre-filmed
Yeah.
things or some of that,
Wow.
because there was a thing about that.
Yeah.
That's like put on the television all
Yeah.
the stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm
wow.
watching. Has anyone watched The Crown?
Yes.
Yes,
I
good.
just started watching it, and there was an episode that apologies if anyone doesn't want spoilers. It's a very mild spoiler, and it happens very early on. But
And it's historical, so
it's historical. Yeah.
it's already happened.
Yeah, I assumed this was a real thing because I figured otherwise they probably wouldn't have put it in. But it was really like intense. There's a sort of a couple of scenes or an episode where the then Queen, the Queen's mother's mother.
What they call the Queen Mother, yeah.
Yeah.
No, the mother of the
Queen's
The
mother.
current Queen. Oh, no, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Queen's
Queen's
grandma.
grandmother.
Queen's grandmother.
Yeah.
Is dying, and her maid goes in to like clean her room or something, and goes to open the window, and she says, "No, don't open the window just yet. It's very loud out there." And the maid says, "Oh, what are they doing?" And she says, "They're rehearsing my funeral."
Yes, I remember that.
Was that a real thing? Because I went probably,
That
but
would.
what an idea!
Yeah.
They did rehearse the funerals, yeah. They did the same.
They were big. But it's the same in media. All of the famous people
Oh
have,
yeah, they
have
have
little
records.
reels
Yeah.
on hard drives ready to go.
Yeah.
As soon as you drop off the twig,
You
there's the
pick
footage.
it up.
Wow.
You just need to
There's
keep it
your
up to
tribute.
date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
That's a little bit morbid.
I
It's
don't
not
think
that,
I'll
but it's
put
true.
that.
No, it's not really a suggestion. I just wanted to
Yeah.
You're a second late with getting that information out once you're dead.
Problematic if you did something really profound in your last week or your last
I know.
year.
Yeah.
The reels
Well, that's when you get the voiceover.
Oh,
He was able to.
Yes.
yes. That makes
They're
sense.
rehearsing my funeral. Very practical.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
it's
didn't really
pretty
want
bad
to
though.
Since sensitivity though.
21 gun salutes and cannons and stuff. So it wouldn't be very quiet.
So what do they do? Say, look, excuse me, Your Highness, can you please lay very, very still for the next 3 hours? We're rehearsing a funeral and then...
Don't rehearse anybody else's funeral.
Thank you.
Everybody's talking at the same time and we're filming.
Well, that's all right. Catches the
yeah,
atmosphere.
so I think we've got plenty of
Plenty.
requests there. I just wonder if you wanted to hear any more weird first words.
Yes.
So we did some of the best ones before the recording started, but I really liked, hey, that's Grandpa's beer.
That could have been Jane.
One child said cheese.
Cheese.
Was that Charles
right.
French?
I'm not sure, but they did really like cheese.
French kid.
All clean. Because the mum would say it every time she finished like changing the nappy or doing the child bath, and then the child started to say it themselves.
It's like mine was all gone.
Oh god.
Because mum would say it when I'd finished my food, wasn't it?
Yep.
And I started all gone, and then my second word was more.
Somebody said that their 9-month-old or something was sitting there in the high chair one day and then turned and stared at them and said, rum.
That's terrifying.
That'd be a worry.
And
Was they holding Chucky up?
Chucky, it was Chucky.
there was also some good funny graffiti which didn't get in because it had to be children's graffiti in the end. There was one, someone had done all kinds of things in their partner's house after they broke up.
Oh wow.
And they put in the toilet a star rating, 1 out of 5 would not pee again. Good one is at the picture of somebody had started doing one of those really elaborate graffiti walls and then they'd run out of paint. So it just stopped and then there was just an outline and then they'd written, sorry, ran out of paint.
That is good.
I like that one.
And someone had put on a toilet like cistern an arrow pointing in their Ministry of Magic.
Oh, that's a good one.
So that's it for stories.
That will do it. And
We're going to craft.
top that off. Managing recording.